estate property. You may also charge a price for assigning your rights under an option to buy real estate. Caveat, do your own due diligence. Please make sure you have a legal opinion before you enter any kind of contract. All across Canada, indeed, the laws intend to be slightly different from province to province though. It's important that we do all follow the rules. Moving forward, all information materials are provided as general information only, while every measure has been taken to ensure the accuracy of material and its affiliation do not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the material found on this meeting or site. Is not intended as investment, financial, legal, accounting, legal, or other advice. Information or material which are provided or maintained by a third party, which may be assessed through this meeting, are provided as is. Pre-Canada and its affiliate will not be responsible in any manner for direct, indirect, or special damage, however, caused arising out of this information provided. This is our disclaimer. We will skip this one for the time. We're going to move it to most of you will. I like to show this thing, just a kind of reminder, not in hospital, not in jail, not in grave. Take 5 seconds to say, thank you, Lord. Thank you, God, for a beautiful day. And I'm sure this gratitude is something we can all relate to it now. Moving forward, this is amazing what this pandemic has brought. Opportunities, tremendous amount of opportunities this pandemic have brought for all of us to get what? Become wealthy. And I'm not too sure how many Canadians we know who are capable of making about $200,000-$300,000 a year. And average house has gone up quite a bit in Canada, especially over the last 1 year. Some of you are able to bank on it, but let's not deny the fact that there has been a last 40 years, a clean run when it comes to Canadian real estate. Real estate has been proven to be one of the best investment, safe, and for the long-term basis, except there is an exception. That exception applies to Alberta and Saskatchewan, but Alberta is not doing that bad. Calgary real estate have picked up, but Edmonton is still sliding behind, and some of the properties in Saskatchewan are coming along though. So Canadian real estate is up by 32%. That's on the full price. And if you just imagine that you only put 20% down in any of those properties, you know what your profit is? 500%. 500% in a year. Isn't that amazing what real estate, the leverage can do? And some of you investors might know it much better than any other, because when you put the money in the bank or any other investment, these are all based upon the facts, by the way. And these facts are again, based upon the information we got from either Canada Revenue Agency or some other sources though. So here is something I'd like to share quickly with you, just to give you a bit of an idea what has happened recently in BC. There's a town called Paul River, is up by 27%. Alberta, the town is South Central Region, properties up by 58%. Saskatchewan, the Lord Minister got 48.3%. Manitoba, the town called Provincial Prairie, 37.2%. Ontario, reduced St. Lawrence, 53%. Quebec, Sherbrooke, 42%. Just amazing. And let me just share two more. New Brunswick. This is amazing what New Brunswick is happening as well. And again, the property is up at 32%. Nova Scotia, oh my Lord, one of my favorite places. In Yarmouth, the property is up by 64.5%. Isn't it all the Canadian real estate is on fire? Just imagine, all the Canadian real estate is on fire. Just incredible, incredible real estate prices are skyrocketing, and this is a time to jump in and be aware of it, that whatever you're doing, make sure you're doing it for the long-term basis though. Moving forward, these are super rich Canadians, by the way. Why we call them super rich? These individuals become a multi-billionaires. 4 decades of real estate boom, most are owned by offspring immigrant. This is the second generation, by the way. First generation works very hard when you come to new first generation Canada. Second generation absolutely reaps the benefit from it. So if you happen to be a second generation, hey, you expected to become a billionaire. Just thought, my opinion only, and hopefully it's all in a good sense. So, question, people are picking up Toronto. Is it Toronto's a good market? Is it a bad market? Should we invest in Toronto? What will happen to Toronto? And there is something I like to share with you. Is there another city which is substitute of financial, entertainment, and tech sector of Toronto in Canada? Is there any other city? The answer is not really. What is exactly Toronto? Here is something I like to share with you. Toronto is the epicenter of, again, all three sectors. Toronto is like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York rolled into one. Toronto represents about 20% of Canadian gross domestic product. If you are planning on investing in Toronto, that's a much, much safe bet. When this pandemic is over, guess what? We'll be all going back to Toronto. Couple of good news. The federal have announced $12 billion of new construction, a bunch of new subways, and that is going to create another boom in the construction industry. Each time a home is built, it creates 29 more jobs. I know our job numbers are down. Last month, we lost 154,000 jobs only in Ontario. But there is a good part of it, that why it is still very safe to invest in Toronto as long as you can hit some sort of positive cash flow. There are opportunities out there in Toronto, and I will be sharing with you as we go along though. Here is another question for you, and I want you to please reply in the chat. Would you buy a 570 square foot of a condo in Scarborough or a large house with an in-ground pool in London, Ontario for the same price? Can you please put in the chat your opinion, please? Okay, good. We got a few people responding to it, at least two of them. Beverly says London, somebody says London, okay. Toronto, London property, excellent. The idea is everybody have a different opinion depending upon what can get the most money from a renter. You're right. Again, it's all about the cash flow and also for the long-term haul. It's not for the short term. You may gonna be surprised when you're comparing Toronto. Condo is not a bad investment, but it restricts your cash flow. Given a choice to you, rather have a house, a townhouse, where you have potential to add up either a basement, in-law suite, or something at the back end of the house, a tiny house or so on. It is important that we should look into the possibilities. Here is something kind of bad in a way, because ever since this thing, lockdowns began, we have about 303,000 jobs added in March. Economy lost 207,000 jobs in April. Unemployment rate right. And we lost 153,000 positions in April in Ontario. What does that mean? Bankruptcies are up. Panic sellers are in trouble. Even though you may not gonna feel the effect of it, but the bankruptcies are rising like crazy. And as we notice that from time to time, those who work very closely on our coaching program or even apprenticeship program, so they might have seen brand new opportunities where these properties which are bankrupt are being sold in insolvency though. And we also have some surplus properties which are a part and parcel of the result of what is happening, because some jobs are gone forever for a reason, because they will be replaced with technology or artificial intelligence, by the way. There are a lot of jobs going to disappear, and there's a glut of new real estate coming in. And you might have noticed that we are market is kind of settling down. The new mortgage stress test will be, they're still evaluating it. You have your input. You can make an opinion and send it to OSFI by May 24th. You could be a part. Your opinion matters how the Canadian mortgages should run. If you have opinion, you have a suggestion, you're welcome to share with OSFI, by the way. Unemployment rate is a little higher. What does that mean? Uh, there's something which is in the works. I'm going to be talking next week. I'm going to bring two specialists from the renters. There's there's a huge thing going on when it comes to renting, evictions, renovictions. What and the NDP is saying, how can they find you if you evict somebody? And we'll be doing a whole session on June 12th meeting though. So here is something very alarming. Would you feel comfortable if there is a subway running under your house? And the word is NIMBY, not in my backyard. Now they are supposed to build a subway from Finch to the Richmond Hill, I believe, center. And now they have three options. The cheapest option is for them to build a subway under your house. And those homeowners are furious. They prefer that this subway runs under Yonge Street, but the cost factors are huge. So this is a little drama. You might not see it in the news or the media, and just be aware of it. The word NIMB, not in my backyard. Whenever they have halfway housing, people intend to raise a voice, and it becomes a social media hot issue. Again, this is going to be in works for next 8 to 10 years. There's going to be huge construction in Toronto. These construction will be mostly for the subway or infrastructure changes. And they're also planning a highway 413. And there's a lot of opposition going on. Whenever there is an infrastructure changes, there's going to be tremendous amount of wealth can be created. Anything close to any major infrastructure up to 800 meters in radius, if you are investing in, your property value can multiply. Just like what happened on Shepherd Line. Every property was residential turned into commercials. And there all kind of severances have been done. People are turning into subdivisions and so on though. Here is another deal I'd like to share with you. This is one of the most disgusting houses was in the market a while ago, 15 Rebecca Street. And it was just horrible looking house. There's nothing to it, barely one bedroom. It has been fully renovated. Look at the pictures, and it's up in the market for 1.4 million bucks. Not too sure sold, but what an ugly house can turn into the most beautiful property in the most desirable area. I believe it's only one bedroom and barely one bedroom. I believe the frontage of this property is maybe 12 feet only. Welcome to Toronto. Here is something else. This is alarming. That's what I'm talking about. Half of the Canadians say they're only $200 away from bankruptcy. $200. Once this handout is over, there is going to be some casualties because of the how everything's changing, how some of the industries have to be totally wiped out of the pandemic. Just be aware of it. And people who are going through bankruptcy might have multiple options. We as investors, we can help them out quite a bit. We can help them to downsize. And it is our responsibility as a fellow Canadians, as a fellow human being, to make sure that nobody goes homeless. How we can help them out. We have the knowledge. And again, this is gonna be an opportunity for other people. For other people, it might be a downfall. But again, just be aware of it. The bankruptcies are rising like crazy. Be aware also that don't overextend yourself. Market making a shift slightly. I believe that US have opened up quite a bit. Tonight, there's gonna be a UFC fight in Texas, and they're expecting about 40,000 people without wearing a mask. 40 or 42,000 people. And here in Toronto or in Canada, they're not allowing two people to get together, by the way. But again, be calm is something we all work together. So this is something else I mentioned to you, that OFSI is are asking for everybody to send information, and they would like to have a new qualification rate up to 5.25 instead of 4.79. And one of the mortgage broker is going to share information with us as we go along, though. This is something else how you can do that, and they have made an announcement that the qualifying rate will change every year. It was done before in 2017. Now they came up with a better proposal just to keep up to date with the market. In my opinion, that's a good thing if they are able to make changes as we progress, though. So June 1st will be the date. This is from the Canadian Federal Regulated Financial Institutions. Be aware of it. They have a lot of power, and they are the one who's monitoring what should be the rate. In my opinion, why you should be investing in real estate, steady increase, in my opinion, detached home will be really, really high in demand. If you have one or two properties in Toronto, or let's say one property, even two property, or three or four, or five detached properties, you're gonna retire multimillionaire, or you already have written a check to yourself that you are a multimillionaire, whether you have zero equity now or you're going to build one. Especially in GTA, if you happen to be the downtown Toronto core. This is a money maker city, by the way. This is a Big Apple. This is the New York of Canada, by the way. And again, rental market is kind of going up and down. I'll be sharing some information with you as we go along. Here is a question. Is inflation in Canada less than 2% or more? Here is something I'm sure you like to know, that if anybody who's doing renovation, what's the price of lumber? Really high. Heating oil, 107%. Natural gas, 43%. Coffee, 13%. This does not really reflect inflation, by the way. Every time anybody who's doing renovations or building a new house know the value of these products, lumber, are really, really hurting all of us. Moving forward, I'm going to bring David. David Memo, are you there, sir? David Memo.
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
All right, so loud and clear, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we can barely hear you.
Okay.
I want you to scream if you can.
I'll try.
All right, sir. It's all yours.
Yeah,
Welcome to David Memo. He is a real estate broker, one of the good friend, has been helping pre-Canada for a long time, a sincere good friend. I recommend him. He is the one who helped us to bring those deals from Calgary, those condos with a 2-year no mortgage payment plan, by the way. David, it's all yours now, my friend.
Thank you, Nav. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah. So today we're gonna cover about the GTA market watch from a Trub database. So yeah, I'm just gonna go slide here right now, and so the price right now is the April. This is actually the sales. The sales April from last year April went by at over almost 4 times, right? So last year April was at almost 3,000 houses for listed. And then this year, April, almost 13,000, over 13,000 houses listed. So I guess that been last year, we were locked down. So this year we've also locked down, but the market a little bit different. So this is the very interesting thing too. When the pandemic, the doesn't change the price. So the price went up from last year April to this year April. As you see it, average sale price is GTA almost 1.1. These are actually for average, including detached, semi-detached, condo, and townhouse. And later on, we'll break it down which one individual average. Yeah, this is slide here. So this slide shows us sales and average price and major home type. Major home type is detached, semi-detached, townhouse, and condo. And also we're gonna break it down 416 and 905 because the difference is 905 and 416 a little bit different from major home type. So year over year, detached and 416 from last year to this year, sales went by 326%. And the semi-detached went by 289%. Townhouse went by 440% and the 416. And then in the 905, detached went by 376%, semi-detached went 316%, townhouse went 338%, and condo went 450. So the average price, when you look at it right now, is the average price for detached house and 416 is almost 1.7. So the increase, when you break it down to the percentage, the year over year from last year, detached house and 416 went by 36%. 905 went by 44%. Yeah, you could tell that people are moving out from the downtown area and moving out to 905 from 416. So the total detached 905 and 416 went by 41%. When you go to semi-detached and 416 went by 19%, 19.6% from last year, April. And 905 semi-detached went 28%. And overall, semi-detached went 23%. When it comes to downtown townhouse, 416 went by 20%, and 905 area went 26%. So condominium is like 416 went from last year went by 18%. 905 went by 25%. Yeah, because the more activity you'll see in the condo and 905 area. And so overall condo price 905 and 416 went by 20%. Once again, it's a commit with several house drive Toronto. The mortgage, okay, the comparison. Yeah, so this, yeah, when you go to from GTA drive, you drive by a couple hours and you see the price is still increasing. So like Woodstock in Ingersoll, it went 45%, Perry Sound, Muskoka, Noria went 41%. So overall, like Naftaj was saying earlier, nationally, Canada real estate went by, price went by 32%, right? So this is a year over year summary at 2020 to 2021. Sales went 362%. New listing went 277%. Active listing is 10%. Average price went 33%. Listing on the market is a little bit down now, but that's been his because nobody really selling it as a listing. What they do, as you know, is everybody holding offer. So you hold the offer, you sell it for after 10 days. That's like, but it could be selling the same day. Right now, even the offer presentation, you see a little bit slowing down. There's not, I had even my own listing in March. We had about 28 offer. Similar property in the same street right now, they hold offer. They had only five offer. So that's multiple offer been slowing down, but the price is still going up. So this one here for months, from months to months, from last month, the last year, 2020. As you see, the price from January to December, no slowing down. It just keep going. It started 838 January and December and 932,000. The same thing this year. January, the average price was January was 966. February was 1,045,000. March and April is pretty much similar, but April is on 1.90,000. This is what the NAFTA is talking about. You hold the property, buy property 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. You write and a check for yourself. That's very, very well defined word. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so as you see it from 1975, every now, like the price, like is unbelievable.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
David is again a real estate broker. Make sure you contact him in case you need to speak to him. He's a very helpful guy, in my opinion. So, question: do you have a mentor? It's going to take you only a few seconds. If you have a mentor, you don't have a mentor or a coach, because that's very important. Everyone has a coach, by the way. Bill Gates has one, Oprah Winfrey has, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, and all these great people who are very successful. More or less, all of us, directly or indirectly, like to model them. We like to copy them to some degree. And why not? They're successful. Even if we can pick up one or two of their habits, that can definitely help us, by the way. One thing I like to share with you, why you should have a coach, especially when it comes to real estate. Make sure your coach can put you and walk you through the real deal. Majority of, I have been doing this for a long time, and it breaks my heart to see some of the new investors come in, this paying $40,000 to $80,000 to a coach who's simply reading a script for them, never ever done a deal. They do not know how to find deal, how to finance it, how to close deal, what kind of challenge you face every time you do a real estate deal. Every real estate deal is going to have some sort of challenges, by the way. So make sure your coach is experienced enough, walk you through, and even help you to find a first deal and help you through the deal together. In case you are interested about getting a little bit more about, how the coaching is, who should be holding your hand, we have opportunities available for you. Every year we take a certain amount of people, and we might be able to take one or two more people as we speak, but we cannot guarantee you. It all subject to your qualification, though. A coach can be a game changer. A great coach can change you to have a very successful life, by the way. It can change the game, whatever the plan is, however you want to live your dreams and whatever's in your bucket list. Moving forward, we're gonna, something I want to share with you. Excuses, just be aware of it. Those people who have been excusing for, I should have bought 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it's too late, too hard. All the excuses. I wish we don't have the word excuse. Excuses don't count, by the way. Only what you do that counts. Regardless, in this game, you're going to win for the long-term basis. You may have a little slight risk for the short-term basis, but if the property makes sense, it's still a good time, regardless. When is a good time to buy a house? Today is the best day to buy a house for long-term basis as well. In case you're interested in coaching, just my number, 1-416-409-7300. Just text your name and number. We will put you through a bit of a qualification process. If you qualify, you might be in for this year or next year. Moving forward, you should know that. What you should know. This is a very important aspect we added up this year. What you should know. Anybody like to know? Blue Monday is the best day to buy a deeply discounted property. By the way, in case you are buying a property, given a choice to you, you'd rather not make any other offer except Monday. Monday is the day of Moon Day. Emotional people intend to be a lot less aggressive. They like to give in. Best day to negotiate is Monday, by the way. Always Monday. Just thought I should share with you. So we're going to bring our next guest speaker. Very proud of this gentleman. It's a great honor to have a friend like Rory Sheehan. Rory, are you there, my friend?
I am, yes, thanks.
The best-selling author and 5 times winner of the Reader's Choice. In my opinion, he is the champ, and it's a great honor to have him every month. He's a sort of a guy who has committed himself, and he helped me a great deal many times over when we were raising money for 27 long years. Every year we raised money for sick children hospital. And he was happy to devote his time, including he brought his both sons together, add up so much spice. And I will not forget ever what he have done for the community, for the children's section hospital. And here is the gentleman, Rory Sheehan. Everybody, Rory, it's all yours, my friend.
Thanks, Nav. I'm going to just try and share my screen if that works. Can everybody see my screen okay? Yep. Okay. So, so thanks for inviting me back. What I'd like to chat about today, and I'm only going to take, 5 or so minutes, is just dealing with stubborn sellers. So when you find yourself in a situation where somebody's digging their heels in, or somebody doesn't want to listen to what you have to say, how do you deal with that? So we're going to come from the perspective that you don't want to get into arguments with people. You don't want to try and tell them what to do. What we want to do is we want to change their emotional state. And once they change their emotional state, then their minds will change naturally. So that's the perspective that we're going to come from in this approach. Please get ready, because I am going to give you some homework. So hopefully you guys will take the time to do the homework. So what we want to do is we want to start by figuring out their greatest concern. There's 2 ways to figure out their greatest concern. One is to guess, the other is to ask. So you might guess right. You can take a chance and guess right, or you can just ask them. Say that you're just concerned for them and you want to know what their greatest concern is. And they'll tell you whatever it is. And then whatever their answer is, it doesn't matter. Just ask them, what is so concerning about that? And then you're going to get the emotions behind it. So if they say, well, I'm concerned about losing the house. Well, what are you concerned about that? Or what are you most concerned about that? And they're going to say, well, it's all about my kids. It's, I'm afraid for my kids. And then what, being able to deal with that concern, what's it going to do for you? And they'll tell you it's going to relieve all the pressure. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to use a technique called feel, felt, found. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I understand how you feel. I have worked with other people who have felt the same way. And what they found was, now what we're doing here is we're quoting somebody else. It's not us telling them what to do. We're going to be describing it from somebody else's perspective. We're going to be telling them, here's what that other person found. They found it very difficult. They found like they were in the same situation that you're in. And here's what we did to help them. And here's how we believe that it's going to be able to help you. Making sense? And that means we have to make up a story. We have to write it out. We have to take the time to prepare a story to change their emotional state. We want to write it out. We want to make it sound like we just came up with it. Like what they just said just reminded me of, oh yeah, that reminds me of the situation I was in last month or last year, where I was working with somebody who had a young family and they were in a situation and their stress level was through the roof. And what they found helped the most was, see, now they can't disagree with you because you're not telling them anything. You're not telling them what to do. You're not telling them how to feel. You're explaining to them that somebody you were able to help found this approach helped the most. And then we got to practice it. So we want to write it out. We want to practice it. Now there's, I don't know what there is, about 50 people online there today. So you've got lots of people that are in the same situation that you're in that would benefit from working with someone. If you're struggling, you've got a coach. You got the best coach in Canada. So talk with Nataj and ask him, here's what I'm planning on saying. Here's how I want to say it. What do you think? And he'll provide the guidance and he'll fill in the details that are missing based on his experience. So take the time to write it out, have somebody review it, and then practice it so that your tone and your body language is consistent with the story. So what are we going to include in the story? Well, we're going to describe their current situation. See, they're in a mess right now. They're very emotional, and they want somebody that's going to listen to what a victim they are. So we're going to talk about their current situation. We're going to mention the options, and then we're going to explain why you decided on a specific option and how that option has helped others. Now, let's pretend you've never done a deal, just for the sake of example. So you don't have an option. Then you can talk about it in a generic sense. You know, a coworker of mine did this. You can talk about it in a generic sense. If you've never dealt with a situation that's similar to this, describe the situation and then tell them that you have worked with people of similar situations. And here's what they found help them out the most. So what we want to do is you want to do this whole thing from a third party, remembering, feel, felt, found, and make sure we get agreement. Make sure we get them to agree with what we're saying. Does that make sense? Do you see the benefit? If they say no, then you're going to have to loop around and nod your head. Because when you nod your head, they'll nod their head. See, even Navid's nodding his head now when I'm nodding my head. So people will nod their head when you nod their head, when you nod your head. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're getting agreement and you're nodding your head. So you're going to get them emotionally engaged in the solution. Use emotional words because this is an emotional situation for them. Our job is to make them feel better with doing business with us. Get lots of agreement. So it's not just waiting to the end and asking for an agreement. You're going to say things, does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? Is this clear? And you're going to keep on nodding your head, keep on getting them to say yes as you guide them in the direction of feeling comfortable. Because when you change them from being terrified to feeling comfortable, the likelihood of getting a deal goes way up. And then, of course, you're going to talk about the future. Talk about how much better things are going to be with this solution. Get them to not only recognize the benefit, but to feel the benefit. So when you talk about how you're going to help them downsize and you're going to help them with everything they need to do in order to make this transition for themselves and their kids as smooth as possible, they're going to breathe a big sigh of relief because now you're the solution to their problems. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions? So what I'd like you to do for homework, if you do decide to do it, is take the time to write out word for word what you're going to say. Word for word, write it all out. So what are you going to say? I understand how you feel. I've worked with other people who have felt the same way. And what they found was, and you're going to tell them a story that you've written out. And then you've got 50 or so people here to practice with. So meet with someone, ask them if you can help them and they can help you. And you guys can go back and forth and you can fine tune it. And then sit down with Nav and say, here's what I'd like to go. You know, I'm so grateful that you're my coach. Here's what I'd like to work on. And he'll guide you through it step by step. And then you've got tools for your toolbox. So when somebody gets angry when you're trying to present a deal, you don't get into an argument with them. You acknowledge they're in a very difficult emotional situation. I understand how you feel. I've worked with other people who felt the same way. And what they found is, and then you've got your story. Making sense? Comments or questions? I was only given like five or so minutes. So any comments or questions? Okay, I'll put a...
I have a question, Rory.
Oh, Vladimir, how are you? Sure.
What is the important question what we didn't ask?
An important question you didn't ask? Well, how do you apply this? How do you present this in such a way that they believe it? So that'd be a good question. Did you want to ask that question?
Yeah, Rory, how we can present this so they believe it?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks for asking, Vladimir. That's a really good question. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're congruent so that when we say our story that we've prepared, that our tone of voice is understanding and our tone of voice is supportive and our body language is congruent. And the only way we can do that is if we practice. We're not trained actors, or most of us aren't. So we need to practice this so that we can be sincere in what we're doing. So I encourage you, take the time to write it out word for word, just like the script in a play, and then practice it and rehearse it and get feedback so that you can fine tune it. So you can get to the point where it's very natural for you to present it. And then there's a greater likelihood that they will accept it. Make sense? Does that help a little?
Yep.
Great,
Can you
thanks.
just give example how you change a state, like you mentioned from very beginning, emotional stage?
Sure. So if somebody's scared, so you're sitting down with them and they're about to lose their house and they're really scared. What we want to do is we want to acknowledge their feelings at that moment, to tell them in a very objective way that the best solution is something that they really hadn't considered is going to be difficult because it's not in their frame of reference at this point. So they're scared. We've got to get them feeling relaxed and comfortable. So we're going to listen to what they have to say. And then we're going to say, feel, felt, found. I do understand. I understand because I've worked with other people that have been in this exact same situation. And what they've found is that if we look at some options and we talk about the pros and cons of different options that will allow us to make sure that we meet your specific needs, that's the best approach. Is that an approach that makes sense to you? And we're going to nod our head. And we're see you're Valdimir's nodding his head yes. So we're going to nod our head yes. Does that help?
Yeah. Thank you, Rory.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If you're interested, Thursday evenings I do Zoom presentations. On the 27th, I'll be doing 2 hours on conversational selling. And then 2 weeks later, we'll be talking about persuasion and influence and negotiate to win. I will post in the chat the link to, so that what I just posted in the chat is the conversational, or the events page. So it's a meditative conditioning events page on Facebook, and it's got a list of all the seminars that we have coming up, and it's all on Zoom, so you don't even have to leave your home. So if you'd like to join us, happy to have you. If anybody has any questions about anything that I chatted about today, if you're interested, our Facebook group is growing. I post 3 videos. We're up to about 150 videos now. They're only about a minute long each. And just to, the intention is to just help you think a little bit more positively. And we're still working on our YouTube channel. So hopefully that'll be a little bit more active as we move forward. But the Facebook group is very active. And the events page has the events that are coming up. So I hope that helps a little. Thanks for letting me share some thoughts today. I will unshare my screen and now I've had it back. And I wish you the best of luck. I think you got a great mentor, and I hope you find success in everything that you do. All the best. Thanks.
Thanks, Rory. Appreciate it, my friend. As usual, one of the greatest thing. I always ask Rory to make a presentation for us, which is more or less relating to us in real life. It's not generic. It's something he have to prepare. And I sincerely want to thank you, Rory, for everything. And the next meeting will be on June 12th. You're going to see Rory. Otherwise, attend his 1-hour session, by the way. He's not one of those guys, barely charge $20 for session or something like that. The value he gave it to you is priceless. The value is just amazing. I have known him. My daughter have attended his couple of seminars or presentation for 2 days, 3 days long. First time I met this gentleman, I said, whatever you have, every material you have on intellectual level, I like to buy it. I bought everything from him. It's not only that, because it adds up so much value. And it didn't matter what the cost was. The investment in education is the best investment ever. I strongly believe in that. Not only we did that, I got a friend for life. We've been friends for maybe, 12, 15 years now. And it's kind of funny how we can work together. And it's again about building a relationship. Rory is a very influential person. If he recommends your name, if he says something, it has a lot of meaning to it, by the way. And you do not get some sort of endorsements or somebody recommendation by meeting them first time or second time. Once again, thank you, Rory. I'm gonna get back to our screen again. And moving forward, I'd like to bring our next guest speaker. We talk about the federal budget. I'd like to bring actually David Grossman. Are you there, sir? It was his birthday this week, and he's only gonna be line for a few minutes only. Not too sure if he's logged in. He said he's gonna be logging in at 2:50. I believe he might be driving. In the meantime, I'm going to ask a superstar. I call him again a very honorable person in my opinion. I'm very, very impressed with the gentleman. Jerry, are you on the line, my friend?
Here, Neff.
Oh, excellent. Thank God he's here.
I'm here.
All right. He's an incredible person with incredible experience when it comes to real estate and the taxation. One of the most fearful words in our industry is the taxes. How do we go around it? What do we do with it? And I always wanted to bring somebody who is also in the trenches, who's investing like us in real estate. And he also a CPA, a CGA. He has so many different backgrounds, which more or less putting like a package deal together. And it's such a great honor to have Jerry. Jerry, it's going to be all yours. If you can wrap up in about 5 to 10 minutes, because I'm waiting for David Grossman to come in. And I believe he's visiting his father today. And that'll be great. Thanks, Jerry. It's all yours, my friend.
Okay. Thanks, Nav. I very much appreciate joining your show again today. So you've given me an interesting topic, avoiding capital gains. If I could figure out how we could all avoid capital gains, that would be a good business to be in. I'm going to talk a bit about, there are ways of avoiding, but I'm going to talk a bit about lowering our capital gains. The things we look for when we do sell properties and tricks of the trade that we can look at to lower our capital gains. So first, let's just start defining what a capital gain is. Quite simply, we're all real estate investors. So in simple terms, capital gains is really the increase in the property that we've purchased at some point. And when it comes time to sell, then we have to deal with the tax, and we call that a capital gain tax. For those of us that have a few properties, but it could also be business income, and I'll talk about that too. For those of us that have a number of properties. The other thing that we should realize is when we buy a property, we register that property either in a personal name or a corporate name, and that's very important. People who've heard me speak before, I keep preaching that personally we have 4 tax brackets: 20%, 30%, 40%, and 50% as a person. As a corporation, we have 2 tax brackets: 12% and 50%. So one trick is to figure out how we register the property when we buy it, because that implicates the tax implications when we sell. So we do have what we call a capital gains exemption. Okay, it's over $850,000. Now that is a very powerful tool that most of us cannot use. Okay, the capital gains exemption is really there for a couple of reasons. One, for the sale of shares of a corporation that you own. It has to be in business income. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I just do want to highlight it for those that may or may not know about that. So we use the capital gains exemption when we sell a share. And we also use the capital gains exemption when we transfer farm properties. Okay, there's a specific exemption for farms. So those are ways that we can actually avoid capital gain. But as far as minimizing a capital gain, there's things that we look at that we could do before the sale, on the sale, after the sale. Things to consider. Before the sale, when we're looking to sell a property, we need to know we can time the sale. So if we do have an option to sell a property in this year or next year, that is a consideration, especially if our tax brackets are different from one year to another. Okay, so if we have the opportunity to time the sale, if we're selling something towards the end of the year, should we close it in December or should we close it in January? Those are things worth discussing with an accountant to compare the different tax brackets that we would be in those different years. Another big powerful tool is there's a deferral of capital gains, and that happens when we take back a mortgage. So when we deal with vendor take backs, we can defer our capital gain up to 5 years. Now, there's a lot of planning that goes in there, especially if we think or if we know that our tax brackets will be different in year 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So that's, again, something to consider before the sale. Again, if we hold back a mortgage, the amount of the mortgage that we hold back can be deferred up to 5 years. And if we do that, we need to take a minimum of 20% into income each of the 5 years. So 5 times 20% is 100%. That would be 100% of our capital gain. And we can defer that over those 5 years. Now, the other thing, there's also, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole because it's complicated, but there are ways that we can transfer property through what we call Section 85 of the Income Tax Act from personal to corporate. And we can actually do that to save tax even at the time of a sale, a pending sale. So I don't want to go too deep into that. It's complicated, but there are ways that we can use that. When we actually sell the property, we have to realize that there's an allocation of that sale price. So for example, if we sell a property for $500,000, technically we're supposed to allocate that sale price between obviously the house or the property itself, but there's also ways that we can allocate something to assets within the house that may have been depreciated over time. So again, I'm just kind of giving you some general information, but when we sell a house for $500,000, we do have the ability to say, well, of the 500, 480,000 relates to the sale of the house and 20,000 relates to the sale of whatever, the fridge, the stove, the tractor in the garage. So there are ways that we can manipulate the actual purchase price. We also, when we sell a property, the capital gain calculation is quite simple. Proceeds of disposition, less the cost base, less the outlays that we incur to sell that property. So on the cost base, we have to make sure our cost base is correct. And it's the cost, it's the purchase price of our property, but it's also the legal fees that we paid at the time of purchase. It's also the land transfer tax we paid at the time of the purchase. It's also any major improvements that we've made to the property during our period of ownership. So all those things add to an increase in the cost base. And if we can increase our cost base, we're obviously reducing our capital gain. So make sure that we have an accurate cost base. Outlays, any costs that we incur to sell our property, which normally would be real estate fees. We're also paying a lawyer to close our property. All those costs are tax deductible. Also understand that we have principal residence exemption. Okay, talk about avoiding capital gains. Well, when we sell our principal residence, we obviously do not pay capital gains because of the principal residence exemption. But if you have rentals, I have a client that I'm working with that we, they have a duplex outside of Toronto. They rent inside of Toronto. So we are literally using their duplex as a mailing address. There is kind of a third unit in the basement. So we can easily say that part of that property is their principal residence, and we can utilize the principal residence exemption against the eventual capital gain of that property. So there's lots of little tricks of the trade. There's lots of little things that we can discuss and talk about trying to eventually lower that capital gain. There's again, timing of income is important because when we do put the capital gain on a tax return, Again, I'll repeat myself. We have 4 tax brackets, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So if we sell a property personally, okay, then that income is going to land into one of those tax brackets. It's going to go on top of our current income, and we're going to pay tax at probably a much higher rate. Okay, a capital gain is only half taxable. So if we sell for 500,000, if we had bought that property for 200,000, just to keep the math simple, we have a $300,000 capital gain. Half of that, 150 in this case, will land on your tax return. Okay, now depends on what tax bracket we're already in. If we're high income earners, we're going to put that $150,000 on top of our other income. We could pay half of that. We could be in a 50% bracket, so we're sending half of that money to CRA. Again, if we own a property in a corporation, again, the corporate tax rate on business income is 12%. So there is an argument that we could say to CRA, hey, I bought this property, I bought it for 200, I sold it for 500, there's a $300,000 capital gain, but I'm going to claim it as business income, which is not out of the question. It could create an argument with CRA, but it's not out of the question. And now we're only paying 12.5% on that gain. That's good. Even if that gain was a capital gain and not normal business income, we still only would pay half of that. 50% of that would be in the corporation. We would pay 50%, so that would be 25% total. But we do take the untaxed portion out of the corporation tax-free. I know I'm starting to sound confusing. The point is, if we have the asset in the corporation, we usually have much more preferential tax treatment in a corporation and more tools available to us to deal with the sale of an asset than we would if it was just owned personally. Okay, so again, I don't want to try to confuse things. It's just, there's a benefit to owning property inside of the corp, certainly when it comes to the eventual sale of the corp. And the last thing I just want to touch on after the sale, okay, you know, when we have sold the property and we do have the money, utilize the TFSA. Okay, now we've sold the property, we have money in our bank. Put that money in a TFSA, max out your TFSA. We pay no income tax in that TFSA. We can't own a property in the TFSA, but we can use the money in a TFSA to fund a property or to just put it in there for the time being until we want to pull it out, maybe to buy a property. But we can also hold mortgages in those TFSAs, and that's another topic for another day. But certainly we want to look at any sale of a property. We want to think about stuff to do before the sale. We want to think about stuff to do at the time of the sale. We want to think about the timing of the sale, and we want to think about things to do after the sale with the money. So now I'll leave it at there for now, and that kind of gives you an oversight on some of the ways to hopefully avoid, but certainly lower any capital gains that we have when we sell.
Thanks, Jerry. Really appreciate it. This is the word from Jerry. By the way, make sure you subscribe to his newsletter at CanadianInvestmentServices.ca. We have his direct number, and make sure you call him up. Any questions you have towards your taxation, we highly recommend this gentleman's name. Feel free to talk to him. It doesn't cost you any money. At least you might be able to pick up a few ideas. Jerry, can I ask you if you can put your name and email address as well, phone number in the chat? That'll be greatly appreciated, my friend.
I will. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always appreciate coming on your show, Nav. Thanks again for everything you do for everybody on these real estate sessions.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it, my friend. What we're going to do next is before we bring David is not available right now. How about we all take about 5 to 10 minutes networking time where we are going to split you into 3 different groups. And you are going to have opportunity to speak to other investors. So it's about 3:10 now or 3:08. We're going to take about 10 minutes and we all going to go into 3 different rooms where you'll be able to chit chat with everybody. My request to you, make sure that you do not take all the time. Everybody get opportunity to speak to each other. You will get to know, even if you can make a one good connection today or two good connection, that'll be worth priceless. It'll be priceless though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to break rooms. It's going to take about 60 seconds only for you to put in different rooms. And if you like to have any questions or so on, you can simply ask people here. Thank you. So now you are being transferred. You don't have to do anything. Just stay on the line. And you'll be able to speak to Jerry as well. I believe he'll be staying on the line, and other people as well, though.
Hello, Nav. How are you? You're muted.
I'm not muted anymore, sir.
There you go.
All right. Do we have David here, David Grossman? I guess not. David, are you there? This is something I'd like to quickly share with you while David is birthday, and I believe he's visiting his father. And this is something recently happened, by the way. We have Sandeep Agarwal, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
And also we have Frank Fernandez, are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so this is something else I'll just like to quickly share with you what happened with the Royal Bank recently. They increased the rate slightly, by the way. And this is more or less a little thing what banks do from time to time. Don't get too much worried about it. You can speak to Sandeep Agarwal or Frank Fernandez. These are the two gentlemen. You can speak directly today if you like. If you're looking for a first mortgage, second mortgage, looking for even a fix and flip funding, these are the people who can help you quite a bit, by the way. These are the professionals, and they'll be more than happy to assist you, though. I'm going to skip this thing for the time being. I know it's a beautiful weather out there, but we will wrap it up as soon as possible. So what's the best bank in Canada, by the way? We're talking about the digital bank. It's turned out to be EQ Bank, by the way. Anybody dealing with EQ Bank, by the way, here? Anybody have dealt with them?
Yes.
I have.
Okay, and it's a good bank. I'm not sure how is everybody's experiences, but when it comes to Forbes list of world's best bank in 2021, that appeared to be #1 bank in Canada. A lot of Canadians, a lot of investors may not ever heard of them. Just thought I should share with you. Is it typically a different type of a bank? Is more or less digital. You don't have to go in there. You do not have to go in there to join them, or it's all online, by the way, which can be a lot more helpful, especially for investors, though, because when we are buying properties all across, this is a good thing to have. Canadian bank mortgage rates, I just mentioned to you before that, this is something else. The highest peak we ever had was in 81. And now interest rate may gonna rise slightly earlier than we were thinking, because our economy in one way is on fire, but also we have other side of the economy, which is bankruptcies and unemployment, so on. So it's a difficult act to say, but we will see. As we speak in the present moment, United States, US has 8.1 million jobs waiting to be filled up. 8.1 million jobs. At the same time, you hear from different sources. Again, just check it out. There are going to be brand new job openings in Canada, which will be a lot more different than they were there before. It'll be totally different, by the way. David, I believe he's not here yet. If he comes in, we'll bring him back, actually. We have taken the networking break. We're going to move to a little bit about headlines, what's happening. How many of you are aware of this program called First Time Home Buyer Incentive Program? What is this program is all about? Well, let me put it in one simple way. It's called Shared Equity Program. What they are willing to do is give you some money, part for the down payment, and they like to have the share when there's an appreciation. The CMHC will be the program. They will give you 5 to 10%, depending upon if you are buying a existing home is only 5%. If you're buying a new construction, it'll be up to 10%. They give you the money and there is no payments. Whenever you sell up to 25 years, whatever the appreciation is, they want their 5 or 10% back with appreciation, though. And this is something you have to be careful with. And it's great for the first-time home buyer. This program is only available in Toronto, Vancouver, and Victoria. And if you are a realtor, this is a great program. There are a bunch of builders who have approached us. I know 6, 7 of them, and they have their inventory which shall be more focusing toward this program, by the way. This is one of the program which is not getting a huge response. It's kind of lukewarm, but we will see. This program just launched on May 3rd. This is the second time they launched it. What is exactly is required, and just a little bit going to give you a bit of a rundown of it. If you're a first-time home buyer, you have never bought a house before, you are going through a marriage breakdown or something. If you are been renting it for the last 4 years, your maximum salary has to be somewhere from between 120 and 150, and you're qualified to get about $722,000 worth of property. And you must come up with a minimum 5% down payment of your own to qualify for the mortgage. These are the nuts and bolts. You should be aware of it. The best person to talk to, it will be your realtor, or when it comes to the mortgage brokers, you can speak to Sandeep or Frank Fernandez. They are here on the chat, and they will be more than happy to walk you through. This program was launched in 2019. By the way, it didn't get much of this thing. Now they have relaunched. It's called FDHBI version number 2. It started May 3rd, by the way. And this may gonna expand depending upon what kind of response the government gets as well.
Can I add into something, sir?
Yes, you can.
So when it comes to salary requirement, it is $150,000 income, household income. It's not the individual income or one income. It's the total household income should not be more than $150,000.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Now, these are the experts, Sandeep and Frank. They will be more than happy to assist you and help you. And that also income can be included your rental as well, and be aware of it. There are finer details. Again, this program is run by CMHC, and you can just Google the word first-time home buyers incentive program. And there is a bunch of guidelines. You must have a good mortgage broker to make sure that you're qualified. It's much better to speak to a mortgage broker than a bank. A banker may or may not have all the knowledge. Since we are investors, it can be very helpful. Whether you are selling your flip to first-time home buyer, it can be very helpful for you. Question, what is it? What is the catch? Number one, it's not a free money. It's a shared equity. It's simply like a joint venture agreement. You cannot borrow more than 4.5 times your annual income, which is the family income. The maximum purchase price $722 in the GTA. And again, the highest recommendation for you, please speak to a very informed realtor. We have few realtors in the team here, and you can speak to one of them. Shibangi, are you there? Just Paul. There are a few other really capable realtors here on the line. They'll be very happy to assist you, to your family, to yourself. Just the home buy program is, in my opinion, is a good program. It may gonna stimulate Canadian economy to some degree, but the one word which people do not like, which I have a little issue with, shared equity. It's not a free money. There are some programs available from time to time which will say forgivable down payment assistance, which you do not have to return the money back though. Moving forward, here I can ask you a question, if you can please put some of your input. What skill one must have to become a very successful real estate investor? Please put in the chat if you like. Just an idea what skill one should have. Creativity, thank you, Eric. Learning, thank you, Vijay. Networking, very important, extremely important. Your networking is going to reflect your net worth. Patience and determination, extremely important. Thank you, David, for patience. Teamwork, thank you, Ian. Another very sales, thick skin, okay, sir. Networking, negotiation, communication, relationship building, negotiation is always your skill, how you communicate. It's a people's business. No matter what you do, if you're dealing with coaching and learning, thank you, Frank. Communication is very important. However you communicate with people, if you're humble and modest, people love you. If you're rich, but you're rude, nobody likes it. It's important that there are several skills required. Number one skill, in my opinion, is people's business. Build a relationship. Whether you need whether you need a money, or whether you need a good deal. If you have a good relationship with a realtor, he may gonna find you a good deal. If you have a good relationship with your mortgage broker, excellent. If you're able to communicate effectively, that's why we bring about 5 different speakers every month, purposely for a reason. Negotiation is a very, very calming thing. It's nothing to do with getting on each other's nerves. It's very subtle. It's very calming. It's very peaceful, actually. I enjoy negotiation, by the way. Some negotiations, you don't jump on. You listen very carefully. In my opinion, which nobody has shared, I'd like to share with you, one of the best skills you want to become very successful is listening. Listen what others have to say. More people are willing to help you, and they will go out of their way if you can develop a very special skill of listening. Over a period of time, I have requested for these few things, and it works every time. Every time it works. And I ask the question. There's this gentleman named Jerry. Jerry is saying something along the line. And I'll ask a simple question. Can you please help me? Can you please help me? And the funny thing, this one, the moment you say, please help me, something happens. Something definitely happens, and you'll be surprised what happens there. And every time, it's a very powerful experience, by the way. Listening and asking for help are the 2 definite skills you need. I have a 14-year-old kid who showed me, hey, uncle, you don't have to do this way. There's a better way of doing things. Okay, I don't care, you have been in business for 40 years or 30 years. And it's important to have. I want to say thank you to everybody who shared the chat, and thank you for very valuable input, by the way. Moving forward, this is something are playing a big factor, by the way. What is happening though? What is where the market is going? And what's going to happen after? Number one, everybody want to move out to less populated area. Everybody want more space. Here is a little surprising factor for you. Guess where is number one, where Canadians are investing more money to upgrade their home? Which part of the house they're investing? Please put in the chat. Which part of the house people are investing more money than anything else, which is very kind of, really? Oh yes, some of them said right on the dot. Nick Skelton, I call it backyard. Backyard, in-law suite. Backyard is number one, by the way. Canadians are spending, about 35% of all the Canadians are spending more money to update their backyard in the house. Here's the question for you. The question is, when the pandemic is over, are we going to go all back to work, or going to work again remotely from home, or it'll be a hybrid model? Now, there's a fear, which is fear of unknown. We will see that once this pandemic is over, we are back to normal. Are we going back to downtown Toronto? What's going to happen to Toronto? Are we going to be working from office? So this is something we need to see until it
Someone
comes
get a
out.
pen and get a paper and get off your phone. I'll clean this table for me.
Everybody have opinion on it.
And get up and put the Kamal on this.
Can you please mute yourselves?
Pick
Thank
up your
you.
garbage.
Kamal, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. All right. So high level on, this is some issues we're going to deal with it, by the way. Government is pushing for it. There's going to be a lot more brand new jobs coming up soon. And I believe that you are going to see there will be a shift. People who have moved from Toronto to all the way to Peterborough to Niagara Falls, all the way to really or further down, or as far as Picton, or so on. I believe there is going to be some changes though, and those changes are going to bring those people back to Toronto. In the meantime, they're spending a lot of money on the infrastructure, but I still believe Toronto is going to remain the epic center. And your best investment, in my opinion, will be still Toronto, even though at times appreciation will be a lot less. And we will see as the time goes along. Moving forward, the TFSA limit I mentioned to you before is very important. If you put your $6,000, there's a different strategies. One has to be very careful. CRA is cracking down on some of the people who are trying to practice something which is more or less illegal, or which you can be caught up with your pants down. If you are investing your TFSA, yes, you can invest in mortgages. And it's a better return, by the way. I will be sharing an article with you how your TFSA can make you a multi-millionaire. I will do it next presentation on the next month or June or July. We'll be doing some little teasers in the summertime, June, July, August, especially 3 months, how to raise capital and how to turn your capital on fire, that it start making a lot more money much faster. And which can return somewhere from 18 to 36%. Anybody interested to learn how to turn your money into 36 to 72% return means your money can double. And it will be for investing directly or indirectly in real estate, and will be totally non-taxable. It will be non-taxable though. It's very important that it doesn't matter how much money you earn in this country, depends how much money you get to take home, free and clear with full disclosure though. TFA is a great resource, by the way, and it's a good way to create your income as dividends, capital gains, interest, and so on. This is one of the best tools we have against our taxes, by the way. If you do not have the plan, make sure you should do that. Speak to one of your accountants, speak to whoever you feel comfortable with. It's amazing. This will be good for you. This is the trap. A lot of people are stuck in it, and you're going to find when the market kind of slows down or market kind of reached a certain plateau, people were doing this thing since this pandemic started, and some economists are saying that everything what we have experienced in the last 1 year was done only on one thing: fear of missing out. Well, here is my wording for it. Canadians have saved over $200 billion during this pandemic. $200 billion. Canadians also saved $35 billion on mortgages. People have extra money. They're not going to restaurants. They're not traveling. Entertainment is zero. They're not driving their car. So they have extra money left over. That leftover money is being placed to put down the principal, paying the mortgage down. Now, stress of investing is one part, fear of missing a second, and intolerance of anything else that lag behind the great return. All these three mistakes some are making it. Some of the investors have overextended themselves. I met a gentleman saying he bought 19 properties. Excellent. And I asked him about the stress test. What happened if the interest rate goes up by 1%, 2%, or 3%, or property value drop by 10, 20, or 30%? He's a perfect candidate for bankruptcy. Now, instead of having 19 properties, he could have done much better, even buying 3 or 4 properties with a better cash flow. And all this property he has, he's barely breaking even. Even though his statement is saying, I'm making $300 positive cash flow. If I ask you a question, how about the vacancy, repairs, maintenance, property management, and all other expenses from time to time. There's nothing left there. So just be aware that you don't fall into the trap that you need to buy a house or you need to invest your money. No, be aware whatever you buy, you're able to keep it for the long-term basis as well as short-term basis. If you're flipping it, totally different. Wholesaling, totally different. But there are great opportunities because of the low interest rate, and there's a lot of opportunities available for all of us. Moving forward, learn to wholesale the next Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. We can have a class in case you want to buy a ticket, or you know somebody who should buy a ticket. Please let them know. Flippingforprofit.ca. Go down there, get the ticket for May 23rd, Sunday afternoon, 2 to 5 p.m. online. Why John Canino Real Estate Club? If you're not a member, please become a member. It's $349 a year. In my opinion, even if you connect one person a year, it'll be priceless. I can assure you that I have met several people. I started this club in 2005. We never, ever missed a meeting. One connection is priceless. Even one little word. Now we got all the experts coming in, sharing their unbelievable amount of wisdom. There is not anybody in our platform who does not have 30-year plus experience. We have a lot of people who have done over 1,000 deals. We have people who have done over $250 million worth of real estate in the last 15, 20 years. A lot of multi-millionaires. And you know what? They may be quiet, but one word of wisdom can change everything, by the way. So I strongly believe in networking. Your networking is going to reflect your net worth. All that contact means contracts in the future. Very important for you to know. Coaching, if you are not doing high performance, please speak to us. If you have any deals you want to share with us, or you like to buy real estate, let us know. We have some deals available, more or less all across Canada from time to time. We do not advertise heavily. A lot of these deals are done from contacts only. Some of the deals we do advertise, but not all of them though. This is something else I mentioned last time too. There are all kind of discounted deals. Somebody brought attention to me. I understand they don't want to put the name on the chat or speak in front of it. I understand that. We had a headline. How many of you would like to buy a piece of property for $1 in Ontario? And anybody interested, please put in the chat box, yes, I'm interested. Can you buy a piece of property in Ontario for $1, which has value worth about $100,000 or more? Okay, or more. Interesting enough though, everything we deliver, we say we deliver it. And it is a public knowledge. It's not it's not on MLS. Okay, and it's there. And the funny thing this one is most people have the blinders on. There are all kind of deals happening all across Canada. And if you are interested, you can send an email or text message to me. I'll be more than happy to share the information with you. If you have not a member, perhaps you don't get the same privileges as those members, but it's important that you do have it though. This is one of the property we have in BC for sale. I believe the price is now $659, if I'm not mistaken. This property is available. It's in the market. You can speak to Trisha at 1-519-257-7117. We also have Rajdeep. She might be able to help you with this, 647-209-2155. These are the two people you can talk to about this property. This is the property in Fernie, BC. I believe we acquired this property about a month ago, and it has been upgraded with brand new, I believe, brand new kitchen as well as brand new flooring, and the whole house has been painted. It's beautiful, beautiful property. Anybody who have interest, please text anytime or it'll be better you can text them instead of calling them. They'll be more than happy to receive a call from you. This is another piece of property we have in Scarborough, by the way. This property is gonna be gone soon. We have several different interests in the property, and a lot of people did not like the idea of closing on June 30th, and that was a bit of a issue. But now June 30th is not that far. This property is available at a reduced price. I believe our price will be, not sure. Please send it the request to CanadianSuperstars@gmail.com if you want more details on this property. This property is a 3-level back split, and it is backing towards the hydro wires. By the way, there's no separate entrance, and the kitchen need to be updated. These are the 3 things. It has otherwise it's a great piece of property at a very good reasonable price. If you happen to have anybody you know who want to buy it, we also pay a finder fee, or we call is bird dog fee. Moving forward, this thing, cash reward we offer, by the way, in case you refer us any deal, this is the phone number to talk to us. There is a couple of things happened recently in Toronto, but some of you might have noticed that there are all kind of things people are offering it. And this is a fair warning to everybody. Make sure before you invest any of your capital anywhere, check before you invest.ca. This is the website run by Ontario Security Commissions. If you're doing a joint venture with a fellow investor, you're okay, but there are other people who are offering all kind of opportunities, and some of the opportunities may be red flag. So just want to be careful with it and make sure you check before you invest.ca, check the name of the company, if they're reputable or so on or not, or you're gonna call them directly. There has been a few concerns recently, and I'm not gonna name anybody, but I just want you to be aware before you invest even a single cent of your money in another venture or real estate joint venture or something. But if you're working with an investor, make sure you have done your proper due diligence, and your lawyer should look into it. This is the issue I'm going to talk next month. Definitely, I'm going to bring 1 or 2 experts on what is happening with evictions, Landlord and Tenancy Act. What does N12 mean? What does N4 means? And what is the government of provincial government is proposing? How about what's happening with the evictions? Why people want to kick that existing tenants out, put new tenants out? What are the laws and what you should be doing? And a couple of examples which are very much highlighted in the media. Anything comes in the media, the politician intend to kind of take advantage of it, and sometimes it's helpful or sometimes it's not. In case you are a landlord, landlordcreditbureau.ca, you should look into it definitely before you put a new tenant in your properties. This is something I'd like to share with you. I'm going to keep this meeting short and sweet. One little thing, we got a little text message from David. Unfortunately, he won't be able to attend it, so he sincerely apologized to everybody. We understand it's his birthday, and actually he's meeting his father. We'll see him definitely next month. So when I meet the most successful real estate investor, what they have one regret. They wish they bought more real estate sooner. Anybody can relate to that? You can put in the chat box, or you like to share your thoughts. You're welcome to share your thoughts though. You wish you had bought more property earlier. And people think this is late, this is too expensive, interest rate too low. Those who keep looking for excuse, they built their life based upon the excuses. And in my opinion, hey, when are you going to buy real estate? When are you going to invest it? Do you have the proper tools? Do you have proper education? Do you have the team? Real estate is not a team, it's a teamwork, by the way. The more people you have in your team, the better it is. You diversify your time, your delegation, your resources. If you're doing a loan, forget about it. You need to have a second or third opinion, no matter how brilliant these opinions can be. Because sometimes, you are overburdened. That's another thing I like to share with you. Fear makes you miss all the opportunities in life. One of the most dominating word people miss in real estate is the fear. What happened if you cross a road? What happened if you don't invest? What happened if you invest? I just thought I'd share with you. The next meeting is going to be on June 12th. We're going to stay on the line for a short while. If anybody have any questions would like to share with you, I know the meeting is supposed to last till 5, but I've been getting a couple of text messages saying, hey, can you please wrap up earlier? It's a beautiful day outside. But we're going to hang around, or if you like, what I'd like to do is maybe go back into the meeting room. Most of people like to network. Would that be okay? If anybody can give me a little yay that if we can start networking online again right now. Is networking right now? Are you ready to go for it? One person say yes, networking is good. Yes? All right. All right, thank you. What I'm going to do this one is we are going to go to break rooms again, and hopefully this time you get to speak to somebody brand new. Please make sure that you speak to somebody you have never spoken before, and make sure everybody gets their turn. I'll see you shortly. Now you all been put on hold for 60 seconds, and you will be in a different room very shortly. And please make sure that you speak to somebody you have never spoken before.